When we get to a level of consciousness of spirituality, many of us switch our polarity so that we can then go into the other side to heal it, to then transcend it and become whole. The people we attract into our life are direct reflections of the same childhood energy dynamics that we had. One, because it feels familiar and it feels comfortable. But two, we are all on the journey back to wholeness. And we attract people that are going to trigger within us the energy dynamics to allow us to transcend it so that we can then be whole and complete. So this episode's going to explain to you why you attract who you attract into your life, why different blocks come up as well, understanding how you can transcend these different energy dynamics, these different energy patterns, and really just in general, the love dynamic of the inner self love that you can begin to go through to transcend it. And a lot of these, the books I'm reading, by the way, I'll share with you the books I'm reading too, but it talks about how you can do this both in a relationship and while you're single. The book that I read is actually for people that are in relationships, and what you do is you become aware of these different childhood wounds, and what you do is you, in a way, you play out and give the other person what they need to heal. So it's actually even more powerful in an intimate relationship and easier because you have a constant reflection to heal it, but you can also do it while being single because the ultimate relationship is always with the self. And everything else in life is a reflection of your relationship to the self, to your own higher self, and your ego as well. So this is something that I've been looking at. Let me say this as well. There's an esoteric side to this, I believe. I believe that it could be both of these things. I believe that we can have soul contracts with people, soulmate type relationships that we determine before we incarnate. This is something that Dolores Cannon talks about in her books. There's 19 books out that taps into people's subconscious mind, and they say why they incarnated, their relationship to their mom, their dad, the karma, whatever it is. But I believe that we can have soul contracts with people, could be very deep, meaningful relationships that we determined before we incarnated and came here, because we are eternal spiritual beings living temporary human experiences. Almost every ancient text or, spirituality, it's been around for thousands of years, this awareness. We are eternal spiritual beings living temporary human experiences. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It simply is. You exist now. You will always exist. So from a higher level of consciousness, you may have chosen different people in your life. But what if when you chose somebody that you wanted to play out different karma with or play out different energy with? What if when you did that, you said, okay, the glue that's going to push us together is going to be this subconscious childhood patterning. It's going to be this wounding in your family and this wounding in your family, and this is going to gravitationally pull you due to the unconscious forces of psychology and the way attraction works. So I believe it can be both. But in general, I think many of us that are attracted to each other, there's a certain level of trauma bonding that happens, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the trauma bonding could also have a spiritual dimension to it, to where it's something you agreed to experience before you incarnated. So it's both. When I look to my past relationships, there are certain synchronicities I can see there. Certain childhood wounding where many times I would have a feminine wound. It literally shows in my astrology, by the way. I had a friend tell me this. It literally shows in my astrology that I have what is called the mother wound. My Cancer is in Chiron or something. I have no idea. I'm not an expert at this. But the way it was explained is, this signifies the mother wound. Oh, interesting. Well, interestingly enough, when I date people, I can look back and see many that of the women I've dated have had a masculine wound while I had the feminine wound. We're attracting each other so that we can heal these different aspects of ourselves. If you look at Carl Jungian psychology, Carl Jung, he talks about something called the anima and the animus. The anima is the feminine side of the male, and the animus, the anima is the female side of the male, and the animus is the male side of the female. So we all have both energies inside of us. But basically what happens is when we get to a level of consciousness of spirituality, many of us switch our polarity so that we can then go into the other side to heal it, to then transcend it and become whole. If you look at spiral dynamics, you can look at my other episodes on spiral dynamics. It's a way for understanding levels of consciousness. There are different levels, and you can look into society and see these different levels. It's so obvious. There's blue. Blue is democracy, being American, religion. It is the safety in people that believe the same things as you. That's blue. Then above blue is orange. Orange is science, business, success, capitalism, being in shape, physical. A lot of athletes are orange. And a lot of athletes are athletically focused on the body and successful. These things tend to clump together, and we all have a different gravity as we move up the levels of consciousness. And then eventually there's different drawbacks to each level. Then eventually you go up to green. Green is more so like spirituality, oneness, connection, the environment, protecting the environment, feeling love with the animals. And this is like the different levels of green. Basically, the drawbacks of orange is that you start having all this progress, success, capitalism, you eventually start damaging the environment. And a lot of people realize that money isn't everything. This is when people become philanthropists and they move into green. And then in green, it's like helping the environment, wanting to have a purpose and help and add value to other people because you've created success for yourself. Doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire to be or to be in green, by the way. It's just a level. It's just a different level. Many people jump into green when they go through a spiritual awakening, and then they haven't actually mastered orange yet. They skip orange and go into green, and they say, "Oh, money's bad. Money's this. Oh, I just only accept donations," and they haven't mastered orange. Or they think money is bad. So there's almost a shadow aspect of orange, but it's about integrating all of these levels up. Now, above green is yellow. Yellow is where you realize your beliefs create your reality, and you can see the beauty in all the levels before it. But in every level below yellow, so green, orange, and blue, you think your level is the right level. So, or if you're in green, you'll be like, I'm vegan, plant medicine. This is the way reality is. And orange looks bad to the environment. Blue looks bad to the environment. When you get to yellow, you realize it's all part of this process. You start creating systems for elevating consciousness. You don't judge the other levels. And it's more about wholeness. Now, what happens is that as we move into green, what happens is our anima and our animus switches. We go into it. This is why you see a lot of empowered feminine energy dynamics, to where it's like there's like a masculine dynamic to a lot of women nowadays. It's like they're going into their power, but they're going into it to heal it so that they can go back into the amazing creative ability of the feminine flow. And a lot of spiritual men are like new age sensitive guys. That's what sometimes they abbreviate it in certain books. New NASG, new age sensitive guys. They're like, it just feels good. This feels aligned, and it's like very soft. Nothing wrong with it, but they're going into their feminine so that they can heal it and integrate it. So that's the anima, the animus of green. And Carl Jung doesn't talk about that, but that's just to understand that it flips. And then eventually you move more into yellow, which is where you integrate all of this. And when you talk about the energy dynamics, many of you listening to this right now are in green level of consciousness and moving your way up. But the reason you're listening to this episode is because it probably vibrationally resonates with you that you have the anima animus thing going on, where you're working to heal that. Now, let me read you a couple things. There's a book called Integral Relationships. This is a manual for men, actually, but Integral Relationships talks about that of the spiral dynamics type content. So it's a little bit systematic way of thinking. Could be a little bit of a harder read, but there's a couple quotes here I want to kind of read to you that'll kind of help you understand this energy dynamic that I'll be talking about in this episode. So first off, an intimate relationship provides one of the best opportunities for mastering unresolved childhood issues. The unconscious choice of a person with whom we can reenact childhood experiences, thus, the person combines the most significant traits of both parents. Think about that. What you do is the most significant traits of each of your parents, both negative and positive. The significant traits of both of them are energetically active inside of you, and you are attracting partners into your life that embody those, whether you like it or don't like it, so that you can then get that trigger to then heal. This is a clip from the Daily Vortex podcast, where I post 2 times a week, and we go really deep on understanding consciousness, understanding how to raise our vibration, how to bring these spiritual concepts down to earth in a relatable and practical way. For the whole entire episode, you can click the link below, but also subscribe to that of the Daily Vortex podcast on either iTunes or Spotify. That's where there are a backlog of over 100 episodes, plus the whole entire episode length is there. On this channel, you will only be seeing clips moving forward. So if you want the whole episodes, you can click the link below. You can subscribe. They're also very easy to listen to. They're automatically downloaded once you subscribe. Plus, you'll never miss an episode. So this is where most of my intention is and my energy is going these days. And I look forward to bringing you many more amazing episodes. But for the rest of this episode, you can click below and you can subscribe to the Daily Vortex podcast. And I look forward to helping you expand your consciousness in a very practical and relatable way. So I'll see you on the next episode. And as always, peace, much love, and namaste.